What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel One Man's Walk. I am your host Gamal, back at you with another one. So what do we have for you today? Well, Kanye West has put out a 3-part miniseries, docu-series on Netflix. I just finally watched the first part. Let's review right after this intro.
Clean your house music. You can clean too.
Welcome back. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and review the first part to this 3-part docu-series, mini-series, whatever you want to call it, for Kanye West, Jeen-yuhs. And so let's do a little housekeeping. If you guys have not already done so, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post bell notifications so that way you don't miss any of this amazing content. As you see behind me, the latest video was up, which is the Marina Blue Air Jordan 1 highs. And so it's a great video. Make sure you check it out. Part 1 is called Vision. That's the part that I finally finished watching. And so my thoughts on it, I'm normally not a documentary type of individual. I'm not normally into the whole camera following behind an individual, kind of the TLC, Bravo, VH1, MTV vibe. Like, that's not my thing. And so out of respect of, okay, knowing that it's a docuseries, I said, let me check it out. I do want to say I actually liked it better than I thought I would have, just being honest. Now, I used to buy Kanye West's albums, College Dropout. Be on the lookout. I'm actually going to do a review of this as part of the top 64. This will be out over the next 2-3 days. But definitely getting to that right here and right here. This was the last Kanye West CD that I ever bought right here. But majority of the Vision kind of deals more so with College Dropout, or at least getting to the point of College Dropout. What I found to be very interesting about the documentary, and what I always like, is the understanding of why a person is the way they are, thinks the way they think, acts the way they act, does the things that they do. The Vision portion of this docuseries really gives us an insight into who Kanye West is and who Kanye West becomes. And so I found that to be very insightful, because it helped give better framework for him. So when some of the things that we see him do later on in life, it kind of makes sense based upon what we see. And so I don't want to spend a ton of time here with this, but what I do like that it really shows how much belief you have to have in yourself when no one else believes in you. The amount of people who he was in close proximity with, who could have theoretically changed his life, but didn't view him how he viewed himself. It almost makes me think of Lamar Jackson, in the sense that when Lamar Jackson came out of Louisville, a lot of these prominent NFL analysts, quotation marks around that, were stating that he's not a quarterback. He's a wide receiver, he's a running back, he's all these other things besides quarterback. Well, when I watched him at Louisville, I thought he was a pretty good quarterback. I thought he was fine, or whatever the case may be. And he stuck to his guns. He did not change positions. He didn't switch up. I remember that the Ohio State kid, I can't think of what his name is off the top of my head, but I remember he was a quarterback and he switched positions to wide receiver. He's playing for the Oakland Raiders for a little bit. The name would come to me. I can't think off the top of my head who he was. But he didn't stick to his guns. Like, he came in Terrell Pryor. And so he came in as a quarterback but switched positions because he didn't stick to his guns. While everyone was trying to tell Kanye he's a producer, Kanye's like, no, I happen to make good beats, really, really good beats, great beats, matter of fact, but I'm not a producer. I'm a rapper who you wouldn't give me an opportunity. So I took the producing to get my foot in the door, to get my voice heard, so then I could do what I really love. What's amazing about that is that when you think of Kanye today, does producing come up in the top 5 things you think of when you think of Kanye? Or is it rapper? Is it sneakers? Is it fashion icon? Is it Trump in the MAGA hat? Is it Kardashian? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's so far removed from the guy we saw at the beginning of this docuseries, this vision thing. It's actually hilarious to me how much has changed since 2003, 2004, 2001, 2002, in those time frames. Like, I think College Dropout is 2004. Yep, 2004. But obviously Blueprint is 2001, the iconic and one of the greatest rap albums ever. I don't know if I'll have it if I'll do it as part of it's in my 64 high, but I don't know if I'll actually record it for this purpose. If you guys want the Blueprint, let me know. I can get to that, but I don't know if I will off the top. But to see what he was willing to do, and it's really great because I was actually listening to College Dropout the other day as I prepped myself to get this review up and going. And that very last song is definitely my favorite on the CD. What's it called? Last Call. And as he does the talking at the very end, breaking it down, that's really what we got to see parts of in this first part of the documentary, Vision. And I really love that about him. Like, my respect level for him has gone up so much because so many people doubted. So many people didn't believe. So many people were there and couldn't see it. And it's not even like his lyrics were bad. You know what I mean? Like, it goes to show you sometimes that it takes someone else taking a chance on you for the people closest to you to see how great you really are. I feel like I can relate to that. Like, it takes people who don't know you, who take a chance on you because they believe in you more than the people who see you day to day. It's amazing to me. And that makes me think of that line he says, now I can either use these dream killers to kill myself, to kill my dream, or use my arrogance as a steam to power my dreams. I think that's how the line goes. I could be butchering it, but it made me think of that line he has, because again, I'm fresh off of just listening to College Dropout recently. And the way in which he stuck to his guns was amazing. I loved how it goes to show you sometimes, man, it doesn't matter. He does an interview where he's bigging up the individuals who helped put him on. And they put out a diss track on him because they're like, what? I didn't hear my name called. And he's like, I said your name in an interview. Is it my fault that they took it out? Like, it's crazy how some of these things happen. His mother being really, I could see how things changed for him and shifted. Now, I always realized like that when his mom passed, that's when the transition shifted. But you could really see she was an anchor for him. She was a reel him in type of individual. Like, he was always could get maybe a little off course and she could reel him back in. And she played a prominent role. She believed in him. When she started rapping out lyrics that he was like, what? When did I write that? I'm like, yo, that's a mom, right? And that's no disrespect if your mom has not done that or anything. My mom didn't do that, and I love my mom. Mom's an amazing supporter of me, so let's not twist it into that. But to have your mother be so supportive in that regard, to where she is rapping lyrics to something that you don't even remember you did, that left an imprint on her, man, that hit me so hard. And I'm like, that's legit. That's legit. It goes to show sometimes that the level of faith you have to have, that's what I took away from this vision part more than anything else. The level of faith you have to have in you when others don't believe in you, when others don't see it. You have to outweigh it. You have to be willing to accept no after no after no after no after no to get to your yes. Because he was with Rockefeller, and Rockefeller wasn't trying to sign him. And then he goes to Capitol, he goes to all these other places. When he goes into Rockefeller Studios, or whatever the Rockefeller office is, and he's trying to play his music, and he's playing All Falls Down, which is a nuts record. We can all agree that is an amazing record, right? And you could see the girl's face is like, okay. Why? Because it's not already popping. It's not already on the radio. It's not already known. And so people can't attach themselves to it. And you could see it in his face. Like, he's like, are you guys not hearing it? Like, are you listening to the lyrics? I love that he stuck with. I could also see why him and Drake had issues for so long. They're one and the same almost, in the sense that both of them have made a career being extremely successful while being able to be relatively themselves. What I mean by that is when Kanye West came out with College Dropout, he was on a rock, and on a rock, it's a ton of street dudes or street inspired music, right? And so obviously it's Jay, it's Bleak, Beans, you got State Prop, you got Dipset. Like, everything about their label is a street thing. Just Blaze, while not street, he's a producer. No one is looking at him, you know what I'm saying? But as far as the rappers are concerned, minus, like a Mill, everyone else is like a street guy to a sense, or at least does street inspired music. And here comes along this guy whose music is not about that. It's very refreshing in a sense that he's talking about things that people deal with and talk about. He gives the inspiration as he's talking about how he, his mother or father, his mother was a school teacher, his dad was a Christian. He's trying to learn and grow, and he's trying to absorb all these different things from different people. And he understands his music has a message to it beyond what other people perceive is what people need to hear in the moment, which is obviously how we get an amazing record like Jesus Walks, which when you really go back and listen to what he's saying, it's nuts. And so, but here he is, and he doesn't have he has a backpack, he's in polo, he's not jerseyed up, he's not talking all this gun talk and all this other stuff. And I can see people like, I don't know what to do with that. But being able to say, why? He's like, look, I'm putting out the realest album ever. Why? Because it's me. If I flop, at least I flop the way I want to, which is not projecting something or somebody I'm not, but being comfortable enough in my own skin to be me, to make music that has a conscious awareness about it, music that talks to the insecurities. And he mentions it, which is why, and I know it's a sidebar, but this is why I feel like people never like Joe Budden music. Because Joe Budden's music, and I can't speak to podcast Joe, I'm not getting into, I don't listen to the podcast, but rapper Joe, right? Whenever I mention Joe Budden, that's what I mean, rapper Joe. His ability to talk about the things that in rap and in black communities are just not things you talk about. You're not supposed to talk about depression. You're not supposed to talk about if you've been cheated on. You're not supposed to, as far as like a male is concerned, since that happens to females, I guess, a lot, right? You're not supposed to be able to talk about insecurities. You're not supposed to be talking about addictions. You're not supposed to be able to talk about all these other things. Kanye talking about being broke, but wanting to keep up with the Joneses, knowing, struggling between, I need to pay for a car or I need to pay a bill, and man, I want to floss real fast to show people. Dealing with the insecurities of saying, that's why sometimes black men might put on more jewelry, is because we always feel our voice isn't heard. So we try to do things to show people I belong in this room, even if I don't feel adequate in this room. Like all these crazy things that people don't discuss that really happens, and being able to talk about that. I remember Drake on, I think it's 6 p.m. in New York. He's like, I used to get teased for not being black enough. But now I'm too black. I forgot how it is, but that's the basis of the line is saying, before I became Drake, right? But when I was Aubrey, I wasn't black enough then. But now I'm on TV and all this other stuff, and I'm too black. And it's like, there's no win. There's no win in the situation. And I found it actually really refreshing. I went into it with an open mind. Again, I'm not a docuseries type individual, miniseries, that type of thing. It's not my thing. But I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. Let's see what this is about. And I did find it to be pretty informative, pretty okay. I can understand how he gets here. So later on, when we see some of the antics that he does, one, he is always feel like he's probably in an uphill climb where he has to constantly prove himself because people don't believe in him. People are always doubting him. And I think he says it too in the docuseries. People are always not believing that he can do it. And so he's always trying to prove somebody wrong. He's always trying to push the boundaries. He's always trying to do this. When he was jaw wired, and he's sitting down with his video guy going over ideas for the music video and stuff like that. He, such a driven individual that he wasn't allowing the opportunity to get by him. He mentioned that Chicago, he said, with Just Blaze is a great friend and a great enemy. And he pushes me because if he wasn't here, because he's making 3 hot beats a day, if he wasn't here, then what am I going to do? I'm probably going to make a beat and slack off. He said, because that's how Chicago dudes get down. I don't think that's a Chicago thing. I think that's how everybody thing. And get on the laurels about what they've done instead of continually moving to see what can they do next. And so I think he can be very forward thinking. I think sometimes when, I'm not saying the smartest guy in the room, but I think sometimes when you have a different way of looking at things, when you have a different perspective to things, when you see things that other people don't see, it can be frustrating because you want them to be as passionate and as excited about it as you are, but it's hard because they don't think like you. When you want them to be able to grasp certain things and they just don't get it. Or when you want people to believe in you, when you want people to stand by you, and you want people to be on your side and they don't. Or they're fine with doing it, but they're fine with doing it in their way and not the way you need it. And that can be a frustrating thing. I speak from experience, where people want to be able to show support, but they show it in the way in which they want it and not necessarily the way you need it. And I think that leads to some of the ways in which Kanye has been Kanye. And his docuseries did a great job of opening up that, right? And so, man, I probably talked a little longer than I thought I was going to, but it actually was pretty good. What are your thoughts? How did you like it? But yeah, I didn't want to hold you guys. I hope you guys just have a wonderful, blessed, productive, stress-free day, weekday, weekend, whenever you're listening, however you're listening. I thank you for listening. Till next time.